Alright, as it's the end of January, it's time to bring you a reading wrap of what I read this month. Since the last reading update, I have finished 4 more books. They were all right next to me, actually. They were Wait For It, The Donut Trap, The Lost Hero, and Counterfeit. That means that this month I finished 11 books, and we have updated the reading journal to show it. To check the updated stats for the year, I finished 11 books. That was a total of 4,076 pages. Of those books, 6 were physical and 5 were audiobooks, which is more than I typically read in audiobooks, so I was surprised by that. I did not read any ebooks this year, or this year so far, I guess. When we look at the breakdown of how I've rated them, I did not rate anything lower than 3 stars. I had 3 3 stars, 5 4 stars, and 3 5 stars reads. And then when we look at the genre breakdown, I did 1 fantasy, 7 romance, 1 young adult, and 1 new adult. The new adult was a new adult romance, and then 1 generalized fiction. So the new adult romance double counts. I was able to check off 3 of my 24 and 2024 books, so I was really proud of that progress. And I also checked off reading a BIPOC author, which I mentioned just because I read one does not mean I'm not going to keep reading them. I'm definitely going to keep reading BIPOC authors. It's just one of my reading challenges to make sure I did. I read a comfort read, and I read something with a disabled main character. I checked off, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letters of my alphabet challenge, and the only reason it's not 11 is because some of my letters I did had multiple books for them. So, for example, P, I had Plot Twist and Powerless, and then for the long game, which is L, I had that, and I had Lost Hero. Now let's go ahead and get into the last updates for reviews of the year. And like I said, I have them all right next to me, but I will have my notes in front of me. So the first update since the last review was Wait For It. This was a 3-star read for me. It's 330 pages, published in 2021, and it took me a day to read. I just found the romance in this book, wanted it to be a 4-star reading, but Nick's character, the main male character, simply just made it so I couldn't rate it over 3 stars. He really annoyed me with how he came to be aware of his PTSD and how he treated it, and I was just really frustrated with him as a character. But I did really like Annabelle and her friendships with Sophie, and so that's why it still is a 3-star read. The next book I finished was The Donut Trap, and this I classified as a new adult romance. Came out in 2021, has 349 pages, and I read it in 2 days. You good? Sorry about that. I read it in 2 days. Jamie works through a struggle of figuring out what she wants in life instead of what her parents want for her. And I loved how her, Alex, and her little brother all show how family expectations impacted them. I really felt like this was a great new adult book. So, 4 stars. The next book I read this year is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. This is a young adult fiction book, and it came out in 2010, 553 pages. I am reading the Heroes of Olympus series right now because I've never read it before, and I want to be able to read Percy Jackson Book 6 and catch up on all of what's happening there. It took me 3 days to read, and it was a 4-star read for me. This book just made me excited to read the next one in the series. I love the growth that Jason, Leo, and Piper all experience, and I'm so excited to be getting back into this magical world I've loved reading since I was a kid, so I'm really excited about it. And then the final read of the month was Counterfeit. It is by Kristen Chen. It is the general fiction book I read, came out in 2022, has 274 pages, and it took me 4 days to read, but that is because I mostly listened to it. There was a plot twist in this book. I'm not going to say what it was or when it happens, but I was just not at all expecting it, and I was really shocked. There was more of a difference between reading it and listening to it than I expected there to be, but I did still really enjoy the book. And it's a really interesting story between friends, or friends if you want to. So that is my reading wrapped for January, and I'm excited to keep sharing my journey with you.